Now then, Tigers, how are we doing? I hope we're all doing well. The first leg of the playoff semi-finals in the Championship have already been completed and both matches finished 0-0. Of course, we had the Middlesbrough and Southampton game, which at the time of recording is what happened today. Borough should have won that match, by the way. Jesus Christ, they were far more dominant. I don't know how they didn't manage to get even just a 1-0 win out of that. But we're not focusing on them because it's all about Hull City on this channel. And of course, you will know they played at the MKM Stadium on Friday night against Millwall in probably what wasn't a great watch for neutral supporters, but wasn't a bad game to witness. It's just a shame that it ended 0-0. It would have been a bit more interesting if goals were involved. There was a disallowed goal for Millwall. They thought they had scored through Ryan Leonard. However, it was disallowed for a foul on Charlie Hughes. Tristan Kramer pulled Hughes away from able to clear the ball, and the referee managed to see it and gave a foul to Hull City, which I do agree with the decision because I think that is fair. It was clearly a foul in my opinion. I don't know what everyone else thinks. It's quite split opinions based off that. But it's just amazing how the referee would blow a foul for that on a tug of the shirt or dragging a player down, yet that was happening on the middle of the pitch for the entire game. Whenever the ball would be in the air, Millwall players, defenders, would just have hold of the shirts of Hull City players and just pull them down. Clearly a foul, because that's exactly what it should be in the rule book, but no. Apparently the referee and the linesman think, play on, it's fine, nothing to worry about. Now Millwall did create more chances in this match compared to Hull City. They had far more shots, I think it was like 15-6. From Millwall's best opportunities, you had, I can't remember who it was who hit the post if I'm off the top of my head. It may have been one of the centre-halves, was it? Cooper, if I'm not mistaken? I actually can't remember, to be honest. But someone hit the post for Millwall. Femi Aziz had a good opportunity. Really, it was his only shot, to be honest, where he cut inside and Panda made a good save because he saw that late. But apart from that, there wasn't anything really that looked like a dangerous chance or opportunity for Millwall. Most of the chances were really off target. And yeah, I just think really with Hull's chances, it was just all about, in that game, trying to find a way to make it 1-0 with the limited opportunities you're going to have. Because with those 6 shots we had, Bloomy had 3 of those. He made an incredible solo run, which could have just been goal of the season, just easily driven past 2 players before shooting at the near post, and it just hit the flipping far side of the post, which is quite unfortunate. He had a shot where he went straight at the keeper, and then one which just completely went off target. Louis Coyle had a shot which just went over. I can't really remember who else had an opportunity, but there was one in the second half where when Yu Hirakawa came on the pitch, he crossed the ball into McBurney. McBurney just couldn't direct his header on target. That went away from the far post. So they were really just the best chances of the match. Now, I'm not going to do like a player ratings thing compared to what I usually do for, well, match reviews. I mean, to be honest, I've not been very active on the YouTube channel as of lately, just because I'm intensely worried for what's going to happen in these playoffs. Although I'm not as much of a nervous wreck as I was compared to the preview of the Norwich City game. But if there's 2 players I could point out that did the best for Hull City, it would have to be Matt Crooks and Ryan Giles. I feel like those 2 could have just been man of the match. I think probably maybe more Crooks than Giles, but Giles was really the one that was keeping Millwall star player Femi Aziz very quiet in that match. Defensively, he was brilliant. He didn't actually show as much on the attack as he maybe usually would. It was all about his defending. He was winning headers as Femi Aziz just barely could win anything in the air against Giles. He was tackling Aziz. You know, Aziz never really got past him. I think just because of the fact that Giles has got that pace to combat with Aziz, it just works so well. As always, he was making supporting runs down the line. His passing was fine in the match, I do feel. And yeah, I just hope he's going to do the same come Monday night when we do play Millwall again, where he's going to be just as defensively solid, but may just show a bit more attacking promise, because there were a few times he would put certain deliveries in the box, which did work sometimes. Sometimes there were poor crosses. So hopefully we do see more of that from Gilo. As for Tree, just in general in the middle of the park, I think he did a great job. I think going up the pitch as well as defending was brilliant. He was winning headers a lot of the time, which was key, considering that Hughes and Egan were really struggling with Coburn, maybe because Coburn is just a very physical striker who really just makes it tough work for defenders, especially when the ball's in the air or when he's got the ball to his feet. Very scrappy, dirty player is Coburn, but, you know, when you do have a striker like him, it does work out well for you. But yeah, Tree was great in the air. His, defending was great. He was making tackles. He was tracking back when he needed to. I know he's not obviously the fastest player, but he was trying to get back when he had to, making good challenges. Even his passing was rather good. And if, for instance, let's say, a pass just didn't go to plan, it was the right decision of who he was going to play it to. I think there was one chance where he could have actually gone on a really promising attack where he was going to play it to Liam Miller on the left-hand side to really drive a counter-attack. But sadly, there was just too much pace on the pass, which made it go out for a throw-in. But still, the right ball Tree made, and yeah, he had a brilliant game. Now, with that 0-0 result, there's going to be a lot of questions surrounding, well, the second leg. Is it all going to be on Millwall to just simply get the victory because they have home advantage? And considering that they were, I'd argue maybe the stronger team in that match, that they're going to do well on Monday night and potentially get into the playoff final. Well, possibly. It's what it's expected because, again, when you're a team that finishes third, you're going to be one of those sides that's going to have to showcase why they're finished in that position and will go to Wembley as favourites to get promoted to the Premier League in the playoff final. But for me, I really don't see how it looks very convincing for Millwall, considering how the most recent match went, along with the last time we went to the Den and beat Millwall 3-1. Because if Hull do turn up on Monday night and put in a good performance, there is no reason why people think that they shouldn't beat Millwall, whether it is by the scoreline or through penalties, to go to Wembley. Because I just really do think that the players have it in them to do it. They really do. A 0-0 result in the first leg, it's not bad. I mean, yeah, alright, it's maybe not ideal, but it's better than losing, because if we did lose that match, our heads would have gone a bit and it would have been a lot more of a negative surrounding in terms of, well, the players aren't going to be as up for it as much because they know they've got a mountain to climb. And whenever you're having to try and come behind in a playoff semi-final, it's a tricky job. But we've seen it happen before many times. I mean, look what happened in the flipping League One playoffs with Sheffield Wednesday being 4-0 down against Peterborough, and they came back and beat Peterborough 5-1 after extra time and then won on penalties. That's not going to be the same because, well, the flipping recent score ended 0-0. There'll probably be a few questions surrounding if we will start the same team as last night. It's probably going to be the case that we will. However, the thing is with Bloomy, on that right-hand side, is that, yeah, he's very impactful, but there are times where you can tell he's not a very physical player. Just slightly gets touched and he's just hoping for a free kick to go his way, which never happened. Compare that to when Carl Joseph came on, who is a far more physical player, and while he may not have such a bigger skill set, especially dribbling compared to Bloomy, he is a far more physical player and is not afraid to get shoved off because he will give one right back to you when he can. And with Gelhardt in the 10, it works better with Joseph on the right because here's the thing, Joffy on the right wing is good, and I do sort of always kind of think that maybe that's always going to be the better option of where we do play Gelhardt. But when you have Bloomy, who is always looking to make an impact down that right-hand side, what can Joffy really do? He can't really push to the right. He can be there for support, but nothing for really else. Whereas if you have Joseph on the right wing, those two players between Joffy and Joseph will happily interchange, where, whoever starts in right winger Cam, they will kind of swap depending on the sort of position they're currently in as they're going on the attack, and the runs they can make to get in behind the defence from where they could be as well. It's just key. It's huge. One thing which I'll say as well, which it's been like this all season, referees, man. This referee, as I've kind of said before towards the start, just wasn't giving fouls, was not giving fouls against Millwall, despite the fact that the players were constantly just grabbing the shirts, dragging players down. It happened to McBurney. It happened to Charlie Hughes so many times with Coburn. Even with the likes of smaller players like Gelhardt going up against Kramer or Jake Cooper, who were twice the size of him, still pulled him down to try and win a header, which made absolutely no sense because they really didn't need to win the ball. I just don't understand. What was the team talk Alex Neil made before heading into this game? They are quite the scrappy lot, and it probably goes for the same for the Millwall fans. As if you've probably seen a few clips on social media, there was a bit of a scrap going on in the North Stand between the Lions and the Tigers fans. I don't really know how long it lasted, but flipping heck, I tell you what, when it comes to Monday night at the Den, it's going to be even more wild. And it's going to be riots around for the police, because not only have they got to deal with Millwall versus Hull City on Monday night, but also Tottenham host Leeds on Monday night as well. So, bloody hell, the police all over the country are going to be focusing on those two matches. Not only just splitting off those teams playing against each other, but the teams who aren't against each other, who may just meet up at some stage, they're going to want to brawl. You better split them up whilst you have the chance. So heading into this Monday night game, who do I think's got more pressure on them? Well, it's going to be Millwall, because at the end of the day, Hull City are going to obviously want to try and get something from the away game. But at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of like I said before, the pressure's not really on them because they just managed to finish 6th and just managed to capture a playoff spot. They will be happy with a draw. For Millwall, it's anyone's game now. They could have, if they had beaten Hull 1-0, they would have been a bit more relaxed, a bit more comfortable, less stressed, there'd be more positivity. But because it's ended 0-0, there is that worry that if Hull do take the lead, they're going to have to try and fight as much as possible without having any stress on their mind to try and come back and get something from that second leg. And for a team that's finished 3rd and just 1 point away from automatic promotion, you have to ask, should they be comfortably beating us? No, they shouldn't, because it's the playoffs and anything could happen. Why do you think the first leg ended 0-0? Because Hull can compete with these top teams, and they've proved it time and time again. And while I'm not going to predict the starting lineup, because I just do think it is going to be the same as it was on Friday night, I am going to predict what the score's going to be on the second leg. I do think it's going to be a very similar game to what we've seen on Friday night, except I think Hull are going to understand what Millwall are going to be like, because obviously they are a very physical lot, to say the least, a very dirty, scrappy lot who you have to just really try and outplay in some way. They're going to have to play the ball on the floor a bit more, rather than just trying to hoof it to McBurney and just hope he's going to win a header. If we can just try and be a bit more active going forward, you know, try and create more chances, get more shots away than we did, of course, in the last match, then I kind of do fancy our chances. And the thing is, in this second leg, even though it's finished 0-0 from the first leg, people are still going to underestimate us. People will still think, well, Millwall will still win. They've got home advantage. They'll be happy they drew. Yeah, the pressure's on them, but I'm sure they'll be fine. They've got a better form. They're essentially the better team. But for Hull City, it's not going to be any pressure, because it is up for grabs. It'll be up for grabs for them as well as for Millwall. It'll be like the same level opportunity for both teams. And Hull will have that positive mindset, thinking, well, they only drew to us in their first leg. To say they're a team that came close to finishing the top 2, you'd think they'd maybe do a bit better. So we really stand a chance at the Den. And I think that if McBurney can maybe be in a goal-scoring position when he's on the ball, or take his chance, or be more clinical, and Bloomy can just shoot better, essentially. His dribbling's fine, it's just his flipping shooting needs improving. If Bloomy's shooting's fine, and a lot more better, as well as McBurney's, Miller has a better output. Joffy gets just that bit more involved in the game to how he usually would. The midfield stay solid in the middle of the park, be willing to go forward, but be willing to track back and help defend and give support to the defenders. Coyle and Giles constantly supporting, going up, but also making sure they're going to track back as quick as possible to deny the wingers any chance. And the defenders, well, especially Charlie Hughes and John Egan, can cope and deal with Josh Coburn or whoever's up front. And Pandor can just, have a bit more better distribution, but always have that good shot stopping. I don't see why we can't win this game. And I am going to be an optimist for this match. And it's not usually I would be. If it was normal me, I would be saying it's going to be 2-1 Millwall. That's what I would say. But I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1 Hull City. I think there's going to be a shock. I think Middlesbrough, in their first leg against Southampton, had that chance to take the lead and take advantage. That's been spoiled. And I feel like that's almost kind of the same with Millwall, with the chances they had and the disallowed goal. So in the second leg, I think Southampton will probably breeze past Middlesbrough. God knows what the score will be, but I just think they will win that game at St Mary's. And then for us, we will provide a shock, which obviously not many people see coming because everyone's ruling Hull City out. But I think we actually can get something from the game. And do you know what? If we do get knocked out and we do lose, whether it is through penalties or just the 90 minutes, I'm not going to be disappointed because the fact how we finished in the playoffs in the first place, I think is incredible. And the fact how we still at least managed to compete with a team who, once again, were close to the top two, I'm happy with it. I'm honestly happy with it. We've overachieved this season. We realistically shouldn't be in this position. Yet here we are. But yeah, I'm going to go with Hull City to beat Millwall 2-1. I am not full of confidence, but there is confidence in me that we could potentially get something from the game. But if we do take the lead, best believe I am going to be one hell of a nervous wreck, and I will be shivering and shaking with nerves throughout potentially the entire game. That's if we do take the lead, though. Let me know your score predictions, who you think will win in the second leg between Millwall and Hull City, as well as who you think is going to get promoted in the playoff final. We don't know who it's going to be that will play at Wembley just yet, but we will find out pretty soon. Thank you folks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to check out my socials along with a podcast that I do as well called Hoof It. They do have the socials as well, but simply just click on the YouTube channel, which will be in the link in the description, and you'll find the socials on any of the YouTube videos. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and finally, up the playoff Tigers!